Hi guys, welcome to your orientation video. Today we're going to cover 3 exercises on your first week's worth of homework. A couple of important things to note: that we'll be using food throughout the duration of the course, and we'll be using it solely as a motivator to get the dog motivated into learning different positions for obedience, like sits, downs, sides, fronts, leave it out, place, all of these things. We'll use food to drive the dog's behavior one way or the other. Um, it is important for you guys to know the only way that you guys will be utilizing food rewards in the way of um, delivering them. So, what we're going to want to do is avoid using techniques like here, rewarding the dog like this, and other ways that you've seen people just kind of open their palm up like this and reward the dog. What we want to do is be able to hold the piece of food in our hand and be able to manipulate that food. So, for example, where it would go is I would take a dime-sized piece of food, place it here, tuck it, my thumb on top of it, so that way I pin it against my palm, like so. And what this is going to allow me to do is flip my wrist like so. So I'm going to give you an example of how we're going to utilize this and why this is going to be a superior technique to the other ones. The reason for this is when my dog might get excited when I present food rewards. What I don't want my dog to think is that they can start to put their mouth on me, becoming more obnoxious or more frantic, and then I release the food because it feels extremely uncomfortable. What I want to do is to allow my dog to be able to feel like they're able to get the food by licking it, but not burying their teeth down on me. And so using this will actually help that eliminating that feeling of having teeth on your hand. So think of the saying, "I want to feel your tongue and not your teeth," especially when we're talking about dealing with food for our dogs. And so one of your exercises is going to be teaching your dog your yes reward marker. So yes is going to be our pinpoint reward marker, which is going to tell the dog when the behavior that they presented is the right behavior. So for example, I have my dog Milo hanging out and I want to teach him what yes is. Yes is a good reward, means that food's going to come, it's going to be presented. And so what that looks like is having my dog on leash. I'm going to say Milo. Milo looks up at me. I say yes, and I pull a piece of food out. Guys, bait bags are heavily recommended. They're not necessary. They're recommended, but they aren't necessary. Can you use food out of your regular pockets? Absolutely. We will not be using Ziploc bags, and the reason for that is that sound of the crinkle will precede the food coming out. And what I don't want the dog to do is to think that only when they hear that crinkle do they need to perform, right? So I want to be able to have food accessible to me. So for example, I could put food in my pockets, and if I was willing to get them dirty, and pull food out from here, and reward my dogs, right? So notice how my hand looks like this, right? So notice how my thumb is tucked down. That's where that food reward is going to come from. That way I'm not dropping food on the ground, and I'm able to say, boom, that's the behavior I want to reward, or release that food. Boom, that's the behavior I want to reward, or release the food. Boom, release the food. Um, and so that will be your first one. So dog's name, dog looks at you, you say yes, pull out a piece of food, and reward that behavior. And I want you to watch this as a full context, right? So Milo, yes. So notice I'm saying yes before I reach into this pocket to get food. So Milo, yes. Pull the food out to reward. It's super important that we do this so that way the dog doesn't believe that it can be bribed. It doesn't need to be bribed in order to perform. So I want my dog to perform and teach my dog that when you present the behavior, then I will present rewards. And not, I'm going to hold a stake while you do everything that you know. Sits, downs, all of those things. Okay, your next piece of homework is going to be an engagement rotation exercise. And so what it will look like is I will have, say, I'm going to take about 10 kibbles or 10 rewards. Now, I highly recommend using dime size food that's highly palatable, food that will not crumble, or food that's not wet like a lunch meat. So that way it doesn't saturate my training area. So for example, if this is the area in which I'm going to be training in, what I want to do is make sure that I keep it clean and I'm not dropping crumbs. What that will cause is my dog to take its focus off of me, looking up at me, and start looking at the ground for other rewards, right? Most of you guys are in this course because your dog highly fixates on the environment. And so teaching the dog to drop its head and to look for rewards is super counterproductive to what we're trying to do. So avoid using those rewards. I will send over some reward recommendations attached to this video for you all that I like to use that are extremely valuable to dogs, but also too I really like to do a complete diet reward, so that way my dog's not getting a bunch of cheese. And also too, I don't want my dog to perform only well when I have steak, because it's not realistic. And so your next exercise is going to be taking, like, say 10 rewards, right? Because we're going to do this exercise 5 to 10 times. Well, we'll say 10 times since we're using 10 rewards. And so what this would look like, I want to grab my rewards. I'm going to have the rewards placed in my hand like this, right? So I might use my thumbs to block that reward and cuff my hands like this, right? So what I want to do is, so imagine my dog's here, right? I'm going to take the food, present the food to my dog's nose like this, and my dog's going to say, oh my God, what is that, right? And I'm going to just do this slight movement. So I'm going to plant, my left foot is going to be planted. I'm going to present the reward to my dog. So here's my left leg being planted. And what I'm going to do, present the reward, then I'm going to pull the food back, and I might pull it up to my chest, and then I'm going to slightly shift my body. If my dog comes from here, walks over to say, hey, where are you going with that food? I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to reward with one of the hands, okay? From there, what I might do is shift the other way. Shift, my dog comes and shifts its body and faces it in front of me and looks at my eyes. Key word, eyes, not hands. Dog looks at me, I say yes, and I want to reward with my other hand. So my first reward came from my right hand. Notice that when I go into reward, I go back to being neutral. Then from there, I'll do the same thing and shift my body, and my dog comes over, and I reward with my opposite hand. And I want you guys to use this technique, and I want you to rotate it in four areas, right? So from here, I want to be able to shift. My dog comes over. Yes, reward my dog. Do this, shift, my dog comes over. Yes, reward my dog. Come over, shift, my dog comes over. Yes, reward my dog. All right, that's your next piece. That's your second piece of homework, right? So I only want you guys to practice that 5 minutes tops. Remember. Please seek eye contact and not fixation on hands. All right, guys. And your last piece of homework is going to be referred to as straight line luring. So holding that piece of food tucked underneath those thumbs. So I would say 2 rewards would be sufficient for this before I went in my pocket and grabbed any more. And so what I'm going to do is have my dog, I'm going to present the food to my dog's nose, and I'm going to straight line lure my dog, right? So notice my legs are going to be planted. What I'm going to do is take my dog's here. I'm going to shift my weight and lean out as far as I can, like this. And once my dog reaches this point, I'm going to release that piece of food from there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite way, right? So stretch my body all the way across. My dog comes over. Yes, I reward that behavior. Now, we're going to be using this technique to reward the dog following our hand. And what this will do is allow us to manipulate the dog's bodies into different positions. And so I want to essentially teach my dog that this is a target, right? So for example, my dog's in the field and I say, Milo, here, right? And if I want to present my hand like this, I want the dog to think, oh, follow the hand. Or, for example, if we're walking and we're on a trail and we're off-leash hiking, I want to be able to drop my hand down and tell my dog, hey, I need you to come right here. So teaching that dog to follow these hands, using food as the motivator to teach that dog why the hand is even important. So you're going to do your marker setup with your yes reward. So dog's name, yes, reward. Then you're going to be doing your shift exercise. So food to dog's nose, shift, dog comes over, makes eye contact, yes, reward. Your next thing, your last piece of homework is going to be your straight line luring, right? So straight line, making sure that you're not moving frantically, you're moving very in a calm manner. And remember too, your dog doesn't know what's going on. So break it down for them, make it very easy, make it simple, and don't be so hard on yourself or your dog. The last thing I want you guys to do is, if you can incorporate play before and after your sessions, you're going to be golden. I don't want you guys practicing for more than 15 minutes a day. I want you to kind of just build these habits really slowly and gradually, and have fun with your dogs. All right, guys.